we're looking into age dating methods. Some of the more fascinating ones, they're radiometric dating, carbon-14, U-235, potassium argon, and others. The natural ones, they all point toward a recent Earth, creationism. Let's go to this address here, K53. There are many different ways. We looked at the radiometric dating as an introduction. Now we're going to go to, there are many different ways by which geologists have attempted to measure the absolute age of the Earth and its various formations and deposits. In each such method, some physical or chemical process is found whose present rate of activity can be measured. The total accumulation of the product of the process must also be measured. If all of this is true, and it is not, then it would be a simple matter of mathematics than to calculate how long the process must have been in operation in order to have produced its present results. The problem is the setup before that, the controls. Some of the processes which have been used as supposed geologic chronometers involve the influx of sodium and other chemicals into the ocean and into lakes from rivers, the erosion of gorges or other areas by running water or wind or glaciers, the building of deltas and other sedimentary deposits, the growth of chemical deposits in soils or caves and other places, and the weathering of rocks, the accumulation of annual bands in trees or lake beds, or other entities whose appearance may be affected by seasonal changes, the escape of terrestrial gases into the atmosphere, the efflux of connate waters through volcanism to the Earth's surface, and various other like processes. There are also various astronomic chronometers that have been used to determine absolute age, most of them based on the rate of expansion of the universe and its various component parts, and on the velocity of the light coming from distant galaxies. The most important geologic chronometers are, of course, those based on the phenomena of radioactivity. Various chemical elements are in some degree radioactive, disintegrating continuously into another element or isotope. The rate of disintegration can be measured, and if a mineral containing measurable quantities of both the parent and daughter elements is found and analyzed, then a relatively simple mathematical computation will yield the time period during which the daughter element has apparently been accumulating by the process. The most important of these radioactivity methods involve the disintegration of uranium and thorium into radium and helium and lead, of method of rubidium into strontium, and of potassium into argon and calcium. Of a somewhat different type is the radiocarbon method, based on the formation of radioactive elements of carbon in the atmosphere by cosmic radiation and their subsequent decay to the stable carbon isotope. There is no question that the vast majority of these geochronometers have given estimates of geologic age immensely greater than any possible estimate based on biblical chronology. We'll have to investigate and find out, does it support evolution? The radioactivity estimates, in particular, except the radiocarbon method, usually yield age values measured in hundreds of millions of years, and some of these up to 3 billions of years. But the accuracy and significance of any of or all such measurements are, of course, based entirely upon the accuracy with which the measurements can be made and the assumptions which enter into their interpretation. The givens, the control. Far too little account has been taken of the limitations which these factors impose. Let me get a little lozenge here. I think I'm subject to some asthma or some kinds of things in the atmosphere that's causing this. I don't think it's a cold. So we'll see what happens next time. Meantime, I love these cough drops. Marvin Lupino states, the evolution places several demands upon fossils used to support it. of fossils in evolutionary sequence must have both the proper morphology or shape to fit that sequence and an appropriate date to justify its position in that sequence. Since the morphology of a fossil cannot be changed, it's obviously the conclusion that the dating is the more subjective element of the two items. Yet accurate dating of fossils is so essential that the scientific respectability of evolution is contingent upon fossils having appropriate dates. Popular presentations of human evolution show a rather smooth transition of fossils leading to modern humans. Popular, but not true. The impression given us is that the dating of the individual fossils in that sequence is accurate enough to establish human evolution as a fact. However, because of several dating problems which are seldom mentioned, this alleged source cannot be maintained. To present the fossil evidence as a relatively smooth transition leading to modern humans is akin to intellectual dishonesty. It is impossible to give an evolutionary sequence to the human fossils because there is a coverage gap involving the dating methods which evolutionists believe are the most reliable, radiocarbon and potassium argon. This gap is from about 40,000 years ago to about 200,000 years ago on the evolutionist time scale. It covers roughly the period known as the Middle Stone Age. This coverage gap lies beyond what is considered the effective range for radiocarbon and prior to what is considered the effective range for potassium argon. This problem period may be even larger because some dating authorities believe that the effective rate for potassium argon doesn't begin until about 400,000 years ago, and many of the older fossils are found at sites that lack the volcanic rocks necessary for potassium argon dating, and hence cannot be dated by this method at all. Although young Earth creationists challenge the legitimacy of all of the dates obtained by the long-term radiometric methods, even evolutionists are beginning to admit that this dating gap presents a problem for them. However, the real seriousness of the problem seems to elude them, even when they occasionally refer to it in their writings. In the past 15 years, the major focus of human evolution has shifted from the origin of all humans to the origin of modern humans. And the very time during which modern humans are alleged to have evolved from their supposed more primitive human ancestors is the period covered by this gap. At least 406 human fossil individuals are placed by evolutionists in this 40,000 to 200,000 time period gap, and hence are questionably dated. The inability of the radiocarbon and the potassium argon methods to cover this time period explains why many alternate dating methods have been devised to attempt to give coverage in this area. However, these alternative methods have serious problems of their own. Of the 84 anatomically modern Homo sapiens fossil individuals dated by evolutionists beyond 40,000 years, 59 of them, 70% of them, fall into this category of 40,000 to 200,000 year gap. Anatomically modern Homo sapiens fossils that are dated more recently than 40,000 years of age are not of great significance for evolutionary purposes and are not under consideration here. There are 4 Neanderthal fossil individuals that are dated more recently than 40,000 years. They are the Amud 1 and Shukba remains from Israel, and the Saint Césaire and Arcy-sur-Cure remains from France. All other Neanderthal remains, some 300 fossil individuals, or approximately 98.6% of them, of all of the Neanderthals, fall into the period covered by this gap. It is well known that another reason why many of the Neanderthal fossils are poorly dated is because they were found long before the importance of documenting fossils in their geological context was fully appreciated. The relatively new fossil category created by evolutionists, the archaic Homo sapiens category, contains at least 64 fossil individuals. 28 of them, 44%, fall within this time gap. 19 of the 222 Homo erectus fossil individuals, 9% of the total, likewise fall into this time gap. In all, 406 human fossil individuals, which individual evolutionists feel are crucial in documenting the evolution of modern humans, fall into the gap between radiocarbon and potassium-argon dating and hence have uncertain ages. Creationists have noted an interesting pattern in evolutionist writings regarding the dating of fossils. Shortcomings of a dating method in current use are not generally acknowledged by evolutionists. Only when they feel they have devised a better method for a specific time period do they publicly admit the weakness of the method they have been using previously. The result is that public assumes the dating methods used at any given time are adequate, whereas the dating specialists working with these methods know that this is not necessarily the case. The latest illustration of not admitting the uncertainties of older dating methods until newer ones have been developed centers around a new method proposed for dating human fossils in this 40,000 to 200,000 year time period. This new method, is announced in the journal Science, involves racemization of amino acids in ostrich eggshell. The amino acid method was developed some time ago for dating bone material at archaeological sites. Because bone is porous, it is subject to groundwater leaching. Hence, the method fell into disfavor because it gave questionable dates. However, because ostrich eggshell is thought to be a rather closed system, it's claimed that the items found in association with it can be dated more accurately by the amino acid racemization method. Excuse me. I'm going to have to stop.